Okay, so this is the final project video to demonstrate completeness and correctness of the code. So for task one, we need to create a file PHP that um, prints a file or that follows these instructions. So as you see, so my file is PHP, as you see. Um, so to get the database, this is my code for the database. I implemented it via my PHP or PHP um, to create a database to use for this project. So as you can see here, um, each one, these are movie names and these are the movie categories. And as you see, each category has the number of films listed out of in the category and the name of each film is. And as you see down here, um, it has also been printed to a text file. Here's the text file says. Um, as you can see, it prints it to film_records.text file or .text. It's exactly the same. So for number two, we needed to take the three SHA files and create a file called SHA PHP that will query the three files. And basically query the three files so that the user can enter in a hash value key associated with an array. In this case, it was a string, basically a string. And the string would and or well hash basically after the user puts in the hash key. Hold on. After the user puts in the hash key, it returns the original string associated with the hash key, and the user is also able to implement another key after this search. And if you search something that's a hash key that's not found, it will tell you, and you can continue to search more hash keys for more hash keys. Finally, for task three, we needed to create a survey database entry relationship diagram. I did mine using the Lucidchart app. Um, so basically, I started with the entity student, which has the primary key student ID, name, and email. And it has a many-to-many relationship where each student can participate in several surveys, and each survey can be taken by many students. So many-to-many relationship where it participates in. So survey had, as you can see, survey had survey ID as primary key, title, description, and date submitted. Um, this had which can contain many questions. This was a one-to-many relationship with questions because one survey will contain many questions. The questions had question ID as a primary key and survey ID as a foreign key, along with text and question type. So there are two types of questions, multiple choice and text-based questions. So one question has multiple options. So it's another one-to-many relationship with options, which has option ID, which is a primary key, and question ID, which is a foreign key, along with the text associated with each option, option A, B, or C, or, and then For the text-based questions, there was one question could record many responses to it because they're out of many students who take the many students who take the survey. Um, so the response had contained the response ID as a primary key, and then foreign keys, question ID, survey ID, and student ID, and the associated response text or student response. And here are the tables. So as you see, starting from the left side, we have student, which is student ID, which contains UTC of a student taking the um, student taking the sur a survey, the name of the student, and their email address. Next, we have the survey, which contains the survey ID, which survey they are taking, the title of both surveys, the description of what both surveys are, and the date each survey was submitted, and the date the survey was submitted. Um, the que- then the question table contains the question ID, which can be cute. I only had two questions for the sake of this example, but you can have as many questions as needed for a survey. So basically, this can scale. So we have a multiple choice question, Q1, question ID Q1, the type of question, which is multiple choice, question text, or like the actual question. So for this, the first one, it was, how would you rate this course? And this is part of survey ID or survey one, survey underscore one, and question two. Um, Next, we have options because each multiple choice question has several options. So we have option ID, so option A, B, C, and D. The option text, like what it is you're actually submitting. So you could say excellent, or the answer to the question was how you would you rate this class? So A would be excellent, B would be good, C would be poor, D would be awful. And these are all contained within the question. Um, these are all contained with question ID one or just question one, first question. Next is the response. So these response, as you see here, the response IDs assigned to the responses that the students give. Um, a student ID so that we know which student gives this particular response. Um, and the question ID so we know what question they're answering. This would be important if we had multiple different text-based responses. Or multiple different text-based questions, so we know which question is being answered or what answer goes to which question. And then the response text, which is the actual student's actual response to the question. So more hands-on, as you can see here. Um, and then finally the survey ID, which identifies what survey this was being taken from. Next, we have the relationship tables. So we have participates in, which contains the student ID and the survey ID. Next, we have contains, which is seen here, which contains the survey ID and the question ID. Then we have the has options, which contains the question ID and the options ID. And finally, we have the records response, because this question can record multiple responses. A single question can record multiple responses. Um, and for this, we have question ID and response ID. It's actually misspelled. All right. And this concludes my video. Um, this concludes my video for this project. Thank you for your time.